Y'all, welcome back to another podcast episode. I'm your host, Kharis Kurian, the founder and host of CiviPod, and today I'm here with Miss Lynette Bullock.
Hi.
Hey,
Great to be here. Thank you, Cars.
great to have you on. Yeah, today we're talking about her and how she is a super voter. Oh,
Indeed.
it's a
Indeed.
very interesting topic. So, so let's get started. First question I have for you is how often do you vote? How often do you vote? And like, have you ever missed an election, local, midterm, primary? Yeah.
Well, I vote when there's an election. So
Okay.
if there's a midterm, if there's a local primary, if there's a referendum, I vote. If I
Hmm.
hear about it, I vote. Um,
Dang, that's
so as often as the polls are open is as often as I vote. And you
that
asked,
is.
sorry,
Mm.
you asked if I missed I'm sure
Have
I
you have
have.
you have you have? Oh.
I'm sure I have, and just only because I wasn't aware that there was something to vote on.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is definitely there's definitely a lot. Definitely more like tremendously more than the average American. Average American only votes in like a presidential election, but like you're voting like every election that you hear of. That is like really, really
I,
impressive.
well, thank you. I try to because I realize that the popular time to vote is the presidential election. However, I do understand that it is more important to vote during for your local officials
Hmm.
than the presidential official.
Yeah, well, I mean, both are very important, but like,
I agree.
local elections are very important because like they shape because like presidential is
Right.
more federal, but like local deals with like the community and like what's going
Correct.
on in your community, but like presidential is like all of America.
hmm Well, I feel like local is more important than presidential because that will dictate the presidential race.
Yeah, exactly.
hmm
Yeah. So kind of going off of that, about politics, civic life. So how did you like first get interested in politics and civic life? Like what draws you to like vote in like every single election?
I would have to give credit to my mother.
Oh, nice.
When I was a child, my mother also voted in all of the
Oh,
elections
wow, yeah, that's
locally and nationally. And she would take me into the polls. And back then, you had the curtain that you can go into, and they would close it up, and she would
oh
let
old
me.
school.
She right. She would lift me up and let me see, and she would read it to me, and she would read all of the names, and she would explain to me what is happening, and she would let me push the buttons, and I love
Oh,
pushing
nice.
buttons. So,
Always
so
fun. Always fun to push buttons.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have to give all the credit to her for getting me started, enjoying the voting process, standing in
Hmm.
line. It was always fun and friendly.
Hmm.
People were generous and kind and
Yeah.
talkative. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, going off of that, yeah, it's really, really great. Your mom like encouraged you to vote, just passing it off on the family. Yeah, that's really encouraging. So, when was the first time you voted, and like what encouraged you to continue voting?
My first election that I voted in when I turned 18 was Bill Clinton
Oh,
presidential
hmm,
race. And so I was able to vote in that election. And that was my first
hmm,
one. It got me started.
nice. Yeah, yeah. So 1992.
Now, cars, I don't know what year it was,
Hmm.
but I can't recall. But but I guess I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, yeah. 92 was when Clinton ran for the first time. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
that was mhm.
Yeah, so I assume this is yes, but like have you voted in every election since you've been able?
Absolutely. Now,
That is wow.
let me also say that when I was in college, I participated in, I don't know who was running that year, but they had all the college students get in a van. They paid us like $50, get in a van and go around and canvass for again, I don't remember what president it was, but canvas, and we went around and we knocked on doors. They put us in these, vans, and we
Hmm.
knocked on doors and canvas for a particular president. I wish I could remember, but so I did do that in college.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of going off of that, this is about politics. A big
Mhm.
part of politics. Especially local stuff. It's like
Yeah.
civics is a pretty big like tie into that, and like So let me ask you this: what does civic life mean to you? I'll start with that. So, like, what does like the word civic life mean to you? Because like a civic, so here, CiviPod, civic rap, my whole thing. We use the term civic life a lot. So, like, how would you define it in your own words?
That's a great question. I would venture to say that it's not just voting, but like I said before, canvassing for the candidate that you
Yeah.
support,
Hmm.
um, phone banking for the candidate that you
Hmm.
support, financially supporting your local candidates.
Hmm.
I believe all of those are extremely important if you
Oh
would
yeah.
like your agenda to be heard.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just making sure that your voice is heard is very very important because like
Mhm.
we have a right to vote, so we should
Absolutely.
exercise it. So
Absolutely.
going off of that, so like, what does civic life, I guess, look for you day to day? Like, what does it look like for you like now, and like kind of like day to day with or like election to election?
Well, I've been a part of many campaigns. My mother ran for judge in her local county 5 times, and so man, I phone banked and I canvassed for her, went door
Mm,
to door. I stood out in front of the election commission with the signs and encouraging people to vote for her and get her name out there.
oh
I
dang.
mailed in flyers and what have you. I've also, on a daily basis, I'm also stay very aware of what's going on in your
Hmm.
community.
Yeah.
Always follow your local officials, know who they are. A lot of people don't
Hmm.
know who their senator is.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
yeah, a lot of people just don't know who their local officials are. Even if they do vote, they don't remember the name. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're voting on. And so I try to stay abreast of what's happening in my local community in
Hmm.
terms of what's coming up, what votes are necessary. And sometimes I email them and give them my perspective on how I believe they should vote.
Yeah, well, that's definitely really good if you're involved in society, trying to get people, kind of trying to like persuade people to vote for this way or the other way. Yeah, it's really remarkable that you're engaged in community like that. Yeah. So, uh, I guess, are there any like key life moments that shape your political like outlook, or made you feel like your vote like really mattered?
I've always felt like my vote mattered. I was listening to a radio um, broadcast, and a person ran for judge in another state, and she said that her victory was separated by 53 votes, like she won,
Wow.
right? So it really put in perspective how voting is real, and every
Dang.
vote absolutely matters.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because like that's like like a whole like a couple like cul-de-sacs not like not voting
Right,
that would sway
right,
the election, which is like that's really like
exactly, absolutely.
crazy. And like kind of also kind of reminds me back with the back with the 2000 presidential election in Florida.
Oh, yes,
With 500 votes, it swayed the election, which
right.
that's crazy. I think that goes to show that every vote matters, really.
Mhm, every single one.
Yeah. So, kind of like going off of like who talking about your mom and like
Mhm,
uh canvassing for her and like just a desire to like always be involved in civics.
mhm.
I'll ask you this: who do you admire, like politically or personally, and why?
Well, surely I remind my mother for I realize in the running for an office or position, the courage it takes
Hmm.
is just immense.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I mean, you just have to have the strongest mindset to deal with opposition,
Uh-huh.
to deal with all the time consumption it takes. Um, and so I admire her for having that. So many people will sit back and complain or
Hmm.
say what the person who they voted for, how they're doing it incorrectly and
Hmm.
how they're messing things up, but they have no desire to be in that position of
Yeah.
leadership or authority. So I admire her first and foremost, but I also admire former President Barack Obama.
Oh yeah.
Also speaks to courage
Yeah. Hope and
and
change.
tenacity. Yes, exactly. It really speaks to the strength of mind of those individuals, and that will always be impressive to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really it's really encouraging, Yeah, yeah, Obama. Oh, I'm not. Yeah, well, obviously, this is nonpartisan, so like no official
Sure,
endorsement, but
sure.
yeah, inspiring like hope and change. That's
Mhm.
that's. I'm glad it really inspires you. What office did your mom run for?
She ran for judge
Oh,
of
cool.
in Montgomery County, and she was going to be General Sessions juvenile court judge had she won the election.
Oh, do you know how close the race was?
I do not know the exact numbers, but she ran 5 times, so there were
Oh,
5 different
wow.
races to recall. But I do know that she always had, 3 individuals running in the race, so it was her and 2
Mm.
others. So it really split the vote.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, she never had an opportunity to have just her and another individual.
Yeah, yeah. Most playing always makes it hard.
Mhm, it does, it does.
Yeah,
And that is a nonpartisan, voting process, so anybody can vote for judge.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
there is no Republican or Democratic, affiliation.
yeah. Exactly. Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So, kind of going off of like, voting, with stuff like with like, who you're inspired by, like what kind of matters to you. What issues are you like most passionate about today, and like why do they matter to you?
Man, I feel like the most important issue on the table in our society right now is immigration. I think
Hmm.
the whole concept of it and the grace that needs to be applied in that
Yeah,
conversation would trickle down to other issues that need as much grace. I hope that makes sense. I think,
yeah,
yeah, I think that if you handle one situation, with intelligence and consideration of all parties,
hmm,
then I think that would lend to you doing the same when you're talking about other issues that are just
hmm,
as polarizing or important into society.
yeah, yeah. So like. Yeah, I mean, immigration definitely it definitely comes to the heart of like, oh yeah, who are we as a society? Like how are we going to treat people who are like not from our country? So
Mhm,
yeah, it's just at the heart of like how we treat our neighbor.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
So kind of going off of your background as like a super voter, would you say okay, it's like should everyone in America be a super voter? And if so, how would that look like? What would that even look like?
I believe it would be amazing. I don't think everyone should be a super voter. I just don't think that's feasible
Oh
because,
yeah.
you may not have the opportunity or the time. But you definitely should be more engaged than just one election every 4 years.
Yeah, for sure.
That is way too infrequent.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, so I mean, no, you don't have to vote on, if there's some sort of amendment or something like that. I mean, you should, but if you miss that one, okay. Um, but these midterms and these elections every 2 years that happen in your local community, I've seen the numbers and man, it's dismal.
Mm.
The individuals that do not vote. And they looked at the numbers. If all individuals who are registered to vote actually voted, their representation would be enormous. And I wish more people realized the impact that their vote
Yeah.
would have. I think candidates rely on people not having that motivation to engage
Yeah,
and know, "Oh,
definitely.
well, I know
Yeah.
they're not gonna vote. I know this certain demographic will, and so I'm gonna just speak to them," and I think that's a shame.
Yeah, well, I mean, like turnout's been like the pretty much it's basically decided the last three like presidential elections. Oh who showed up to vote. That basically just decided the elections.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
like yeah, definitely voting is definitely very important. Like yeah, like you said, I mean like it's not like you don't get to vote in like every single election you should, but like it should be more than like oh I vote for president like every 4 years for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I know you've definitely had a lot of voting history. Of like yeah a lot, but like.
yeah, showing
In
my
that,
age. I think
oh
also,
yeah.
Cars, my age kind of says super voter, so you know
Hmm.
that, um, older Americans vote more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so it's difficult to get younger Americans to vote. And it would be amazing if younger Americans would see the importance of it, just like I
Oh,
did when I was younger.
100%. Yeah,
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 and I think it's up to us who have children to really do
hmm
the same thing my mom did
100%.
and say, "Hey, you got to do this. You got to do this," and it doesn't take but a moment. It's not hard.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about that soon about younger voters. So
Hmm.
like, just going off of like your voting your voting history and all that. Like, has anything changed about like how you vote or think about politics over the years? So like, you've been voting since '92, so about
Hmm.
33 years. So in the past 33 years, has like anything changed about how you like vote or think about
I, you
politics?
know, I I hate to say this, but I'm pretty consistent, and I'm
Oh
probably
wow.
stereotypical within that.
Mm.
Um, I have found that my choices have been stereotypical as well. So it makes it difficult to vote outside the box. Because I know how important the vote is, I don't want to be flippant and say, you know what,
Yeah.
I really think this individual um, speaks to my values.
Hmm.
And but then I know that that individual, um, they're be like if the voting was split, like
Hmm.
I had the opportunity to vote for my mother for judge because I lived in Montgomery County for a moment, and understood that because of the split of the vote, it would be an uphill battle for her.
Oh, definitely.
And had she not been my mother, I may not have voted for her because I would have tried to vote for someone who I understand closest to my value to get that individual in knowing that the split vote
Oh yeah.
might be just a non-vote, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you vote for an individual, it may not have much meaning because you know that vote is split.
Yeah.
So that has curbed my at moments, curved my voting tendency, but I tend to vote in the same manner because of the choices.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely, having the choices, like just knowing the choices and know what you're getting yourself into. I think that's
Right.
definitely, very, very big, with voting. So yeah. So kind of like to close this out. Talking about, how, your voting history and all that, all that, and like so like I wanted to end with this. So like, first question I have before we first out of two before we end. So like what advice would you like give young people who want to be informed voters but like don't know where to start? Because like or like what advice or like people who don't care about voting, like what advice would you give them to like motivate them?
That's difficult. I've talked to individuals who say, what does it matter? Um, but right. And then I talk with them about their life. So, wow, have you had anybody ever been arrested in your family?
Mm.
And if the answer is yes, eh, sorry, my dog was getting into something. Sorry. Um, if the answer is yes, then you know
Hmm.
that whoever that judge is before
Yeah.
your loved one is extremely important to
Oh
you.
yeah, for sure.
Right. So you really have to make it personal to
Hmm.
encourage people to vote. Somehow, some way, they think it's so much bigger than themselves that they don't see the impact that it has on their daily life until
Hmm.
it does.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Until it does have an impact. So if you vote for an individual that cuts healthcare and you have a loved one, an elderly loved one who's on Medicaid
Hmm.
or Medicare, then and their services are depleted because of the cuts, then it's
Hmm.
more personal. And then you go, okay, maybe I should have voted for an individual who had the same interests as I did. So you really
Yeah.
have to that's how the only way I can see how you can encourage individuals, younger individuals to vote is to make it personal and really speak to their own
Hmm.
interests. I vote, however, on the interests of not just me, but the community, like what's best
Hmm.
for us, what could be best for us all.
Yeah.
But these young folk, you really have to make it more, personal for them so they can
Yeah,
get a
definitely.
grasp, yeah.
Yeah. Well, kind of, yeah, yeah, well, I definitely agree, it's really like you kind of like the people who are just not motivated, like they kind of like have to like go to like personally to like find motivation, I guess.
Mhm, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, mhm.
Yeah. So just to close this off here,
Yeah,
if you could tell Gen Z one thing about civic life, voting, especially considering your super voter background or like America's future, what would it be?
wow, okay, if I could tell them what the future will look like?
Or
Clarify.
like or like the civic or just like civic life or like voting or like America's future, like kind of like related to what I've been what I guess what we've been talking about, like
Mhm,
politics and like just
mhm.
being engaged in like voting, like what would you tell them?
I would tell them it's not hard.
Yeah, it's not
It's a
hard.
quick process.
Hmm.
I think you drive most voting polls are in your neighborhood or in your
Yep.
area. So you drive by that space, that church or that school every day.
Yeah.
So just
Hmm.
pop on in, take a moment, and pop on out. And I think if you make the process seamless and easier
Yeah, definitely.
in their head, that
Yeah, yeah.
they will go, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm headed to the gas station and the school's right next door. Let me just pop in, click a few buttons, and go about my day.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, yeah, it's really honestly, with the technology and just the
Mhm.
digital age, it is really not that hard because, like, because
Right.
like, I don't know if personally I'd be super better, but like, I would just, but like, it's just pretty easy. I could just come to
Mhm.
ballot, I could just come to the voting plus spot, just ask ChatGPT like what was the candidate like and just vote. It's really just as simple as that.
Wow.
So,
Now, I don't
yeah,
know, uh, it's interesting you said ChatGPT. I don't know if how impartial the answer would be for that,
yeah,
but I would encourage a Gen Z voter to just go to their website. I mean,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
already
yeah,
on TikTok, you're already on Instagram. Just go to their website.
Might as well. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
and see what they're talking about. And it's just a
yeah,
scroll of the thumb
yeah,
that you're
exactly.
doing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like I would say, like, so it's like, there's something low hanging, so easy. But yeah, definitely, going to the website, checking out the platform, that is definitely,
Absolutely.
definitely that does not take it long.
No. No. It
Yeah,
doesn't it's not hard to be engaged. It's not hard to be a super voter.
it really isn't.
It's
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not remarkable to do. It's not a hard feat.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We definitely had a really good conversation about just learning about like how why being a super voter is important and why being like engaged in the community, like why that's so important. I really appreciated your time and yeah, well thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Please subscribe to for more information, more updates on our podcast and the whole Civic channel in general. And yeah, I will see you on the next episode. Bye.